Alright, today's video we're going to be making a chicken coop. I know I've already got one on here, but that was just a small one. This is going to be for a relatively large flock of about 20 laying hens whenever we're done. And I'm going to use this rough cut lumber here. This is yellow poplar. I got it from a local mill. And it's what they refer to as thick and thin or miscut lumber. And this entire stack of lumber, roughly around 1,000 board feet. I actually think it's just a little bit more, was $80. And it varies. It's probably an average of an inch, but it can go, ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch, inch and a quarter. It's kind of all over the place. But for something like a coop, it's going to be perfect. And I'm going to try to do everything out of just this lumber, of course, except for the roof. I'll have a metal roof on it. But that's what we're going to be using. It's still kind of green. We've got it stacked and the stickers and stuff in it for airflow and all that, and it's been covered. We uncovered it today because it's nice and pretty, hopefully to get just a little bit more moisture out of it. But it was tested between 15 and 20 with a moisture meter, so it's good enough for me for building it. I just did a quick little sketch. Like I said, it's going to be for 20 birds, and this is going to be 6 by 8, which is 48 square feet. And for 20 birds, that'll give us around 2.5 square foot of coop space per bird. And so, also the way I want to do it is, it's going to just have a slanted roof, no peak, walk-through door for our access right here. Nest box on the outside, and a feeder here to the right. The entrance into the run will actually be on the other side of this. But we'll get some boards together and we'll get started. The floor of the coop laid out. The band boards, the ones that go around the edge, I just doubled up those rough cut boards. Made them too wide, and then I picked out 3 of the thicker ones to use for the 3 inner floor joists, and it looks pretty good. We sandwiched these together and just nailed them together. Bent the nails over in the back. You can see them over here, and then just started screwing everything together with 3-inch screws to get everything stable. And then all we're going to do now is cut boards to length and then start going across these joists and put all those in place. Alright, we got the floor in. The only bad thing about this lumber, thickness wise, would be the cleaning of the floor. From one board to the other. Thickness varies, so that'll catch your shovel when you're going through, but it's not a super big deal. And it's sturdy as could be. Me walking on it doesn't have any give or anything, so won't be a problem when it comes time to get in and clean it. So next thing will be, we'll make a wall. So this wall will have the chicken door in it. This wall will have a feeder in it. This wall will have our entrance as well as a nest box in it, and this will be the only blank wall, the one here in the back. So we'll start with that. It'll make it simple, and that way you can see the design that I'm using for the wall, because I'm not doing studs or anything else like that. These boards are significant enough that I won't have to actually frame this in. The siding will be the framing, but we'll get to that just shortly. Alright, I think it's easier just to build the walls on their own separately. So I want the height of the coop to be about 6'2" inside. That way I can comfortably stand up inside of it. So the length of these boards are 6'6". And I'm going to let them overhang the floor joist of the coop by 4 inches, and then that'll leave the 6'2" total height that I'm looking for. And I just cut the 2 band boards right here and right here the same width as the end that we were making the wall for. and then I just started filling in with boards. Of course, this was flipped over, and just nailed all those boards to the band boards, and I flipped them over and bent all the nails over. So the next step is just getting this in place on the coop. And what I did to make it easier is, so top band board, this will be the top, of course the middle, and then that'll be the end down by the floor. So we're going to take it over and put this end where we want it and then stand it up. Now to aid in that, what I've done is on the back side of the this wall, I've measured down 4 inches from the floor, and I've just put me a temporary board here, a temporary board right there, and then that'll allow us to drop the end of the wall right here. That'll hold it up. Then we just stand it up, put a brace on it, or put a couple nails in it, put a brace on it, and then we can finish nailing it in. Alright, here's the first wall, and we've got a second one up. And this one is notably different from the first. Here's a space that we've allowed for a nest box. I like the nest boxes that you could check out from the outside. I've got another video that's totally dedicated to that type of nest box. So if you click on my channel and search through there, you'll find that. But that's why that band board is at a different height than this one. It really doesn't matter. But we just brought it down here to catch the bottoms of those boards, and then we have the one at the top as well. I also have a one at the very bottom, and it sticks up, I don't know, about 5 inches up off the floor. And I like to have the nest box up just a little bit so litter and stuff doesn't get kicked into it too often. So that's the reasoning for that. And I also wanted to point out, you can see there's cracks. Mainly we tried to go tight on this one, but this one here, instead of having one narrow board in this section, we just kind of evenly spaced them out, and that's fine because this will be a board and batten, so there'll be a small batten strip on the outside covering all of these, so it will be weather tight once it's done. On this one also, this is where the door will be on that. So right there is just the top board that goes, the top band board that protrudes over the full length of the wall, and that'll just catch a corner here eventually, just like that one, and that'll allow us a door space. Okay, we've got wall number 3 in place now, and the only difference with this one and our first wall is this one actually has the door that the chickens will use to access the run area. So same thing, band board top, band board middle, and then we just took 2 of the boards and cut them off short. That way that allows the opening, and then I just nailed kind of like a makeshift header to keep those 2 boards from tail ends of them from flopping. So it's just long enough to catch those 2 boards, and then a piece of the ones on either side of it to give it the rigidity that it needs. Alright, our 4th and final wall is up. I had to do a design change right in the middle. Like I'd planned to put a feeder on this wall. I thought I had a smaller window, but the only thing I had was a 3 foot by 3 foot window. It's the smallest one I had, so I'm going to use it because I have it already. It's free. I don't have to pay nothing for it, and I'll just use hanging feeders right here. I've got the floor space for it, so it's not a big deal. But same thing with this one. We've got the board on the top. These boards go from top to bottom, and then underneath the window, they just go from there to there. I will show you the difference on this one. As far as the outside goes, we just ran one board horizontally here, and the only reason really is so that this is double thickness, so that it matches up with the surface of these siding boards. That way when the window goes in, all 4 of those sides will be flush and it'll mount up good. But that's where we're at. I did go ahead and I put one more additional board right here on the second wall that we did, so that we could tie those two together, and it still left me with about a 2-foot door space. That's plenty wide enough. So we're pretty much done with the rough end of the framing. So the next thing we'll do is we'll figure out how we're going to actually put the roof on. We've got the roof framing going on. I sacrificed my height just here in the middle. I put a sandwiched 2 of the rough cut pieces. They're, I don't know, around 7 inches. Sandwiched them together and ran them across the midway point. Remember, this wall here is 8 feet, so it's right there at 4 feet. Mainly because of the snow that we have around here. I wanted it to be able to be sufficient to hold it. And then the tin is actually going to be running this way, slanted down. So what I did was I just went and staggered some pieces of the board. The very end of it has no boards. A quarter of the way, which is 1.5 feet, because it's 6 foot through on this roof. So nothing down there. One board at 18, 2 stacked, 18-inch centers, 3 of them stacked here, and then 4 at the very end, and that'll give me a gentle slope on this roof. But it's relatively flat, but it'll be enough, and these are close enough together that if snow and stuff does sit on here for a while, this is strong enough to handle that. See, we're in the dry now. Lost the light last night when I got it up, but it rained last night. There's a couple itty bitty pinholes here and there, couple little damp spots on the floor, but that's fine. I can caulk those up. This is like the 3rd building this tin's been used on. It was a hand-me-down from a hand-me-down, so price was right, $0, so I used it. That's fine. Just put it down with the gasketed roofing screws, and I was up on top of this last night, putting the fasteners in and doing all that, and it held up just perfect. So it's good and strong. It'll hold me. It'll hold snow. So the roof's on, and we're pretty much dried in. So the next thing will be either filling in these gaps between the roof and the walls, or going ahead and getting some battens going for the siding. Alright, I did a few things between the last video and this one. Weather's been iffy, so I was just utilizing it the best that I could. But I've got the battens up. It's just the rough cut lumber cut to a 2-inch width. Liquid nailed those in place, as well as use the crown stapler and put those. That's mainly just to hold them up until the liquid nail cures. I also got the window installed, and I just used the screws that I use for the roofing, minus the gaskets on those, and that'll hold fine, as well as caulk around it to help hold it and weatherproof it. And I went ahead and painted the inside of the coop with exterior paint. It is inside, but with chickens you've got the potential for droppings and water spillage and everything else. So even though it's inside, I use exterior grade paint, on the walls and the floor. But that's where we're at now, and I'm getting ready to start painting on the outside. So I'll be back in a couple of hours with that. Got the first coat on this. It'll probably take another one. This rough cut lumber really soaks up the paint. Just got this one off the Mist Tint counter there at Lowe's, so I guess I'll have to pony up for the full gallon, or the full price on the next gallon, because I have to match this. But like I said, it soaks up the paint. I only got that wall, the back wall, this wall. This one here still is unpainted, And what I'm going to do is, since I've got like a little less than a quarter of a gallon of paint, so instead of going through and partially painting this wall, I'm going to go ahead and do the door. The reason being is I want to go ahead and use this as a brooder. So if I build the door, I could use what paint I have on the inside of that door, and we could get the chickens out here. Door made, it's just simple. 3 boards put together, and then cut down the width to fit. And I just screwed a brace to the top, brace to the bottom, and then a diagonal brace across the length of it. Hodgepodge of hinges that I had on hand, put it up with that, and then just put a simple bolt latch on it, and that is the door.